Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Diglett card, and also Dugtrio. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're continuing our look through the cards of Unbroken Bonds, and ladies and gentlemen, we cannot just look at Diglett. And we cannot just look at Dugtrio. They are both exceptionally interesting cards, and they evolve from each other, so I thought, right, you know what? Let's chuck them in together and Diglett dig. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Diglett gon' dig. So, starting off with Diglett then, we see that it's not the biggest boy around, to be frank. It's got 50 HP, which on the one hand is low, but it does mean that you get access to Professor Elm's lecture for searching it out, which isn't too bad. And then we got a retreat cost of 1, which is sufficiently low. The attack, 1 fighting energy, 10 damage is rubbish. And look, even though you're a fighting Pokemon and you got access to stuff like Diancie Prism Star, it's just not going to help. What is going to help is Brooklet Hill to search you out. That is absolutely wonderful here. But what we're really looking at is the ability. And the ability reads: if you discard this card with the effect of Giovanni's Banishment, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Now, as a quick reminder here, Giovanni's is this new card coming out in Unbroken Bonds, whereby you can discard 2 Pokemon from your bench as long as they've got no damage counters on them. I know, right? Quite cool. So now you just grab a couple of Diglett, and I love that you've actually got Giovanni in the background of the Diglett card here, because it seems very appropriate given how the card actually works. And then you get to discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. And look, you've got Nest Ball to search this out. And we've already mentioned Brooklet Hill to search this out. And then you've got all kinds of things like Ultra Ball, or in fact, Professor Elm's lecture. Getting 2 Diglett out with all of those cards is just not going to be difficult. And then when you play a Giovanni's, you discard 2. And let's not forget, if you're behind on prizes here, you can play Lieutenant Surge's strategy, which lets you play 2 supporter cards during your turn. So now, play Lieutenant Surge's, play a double Giovanni's, get rid of 4 Diglett off the bench, and would you believe it, you are discarding the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck. I don't think you're going to be able to mill that much with Diglett. One of the big problems with Diglett here is you've got to keep getting it back. And sure, Brock's Grit will essentially get all of them back in one go. And yeah, sure, Rescue Stretcher will get 3 of the 4 of them back, which is very nice. But it's not getting it out, that's easy. And it's not discarding it because Giovanni's makes that easy. It is constantly getting the Diglett back into your deck. When they're in your deck, you'll be able to grab them nice and easily. A Brooklet Hill and a Professor Elm's lecture gets all 4. That's not a problem. The issue is going to be continually trying to recover these. That's going to be an issue. But that's just if you're trying to mill your opponent into submission using just Diglett. What you could do, use it as a bonus. Use it to discard a couple cards here and there. Use it in the early game, hoping to get something good. Wait till your opponent's got, say, 3 cards remaining in their deck. Double Giovanni's, mill them out, win the entire game. Or one of my favourite uses of this is with Macargo. Your opponent uses the Macargo to put the card they want on top of their deck, and sometimes they're playing something like an Orangaroo to draw that card, but sometimes they're leaving it there to draw it the next turn. So they put whatever they want on top of their deck and you discard it with Diglett. I don't think Diglett is a mill deck in and of itself. And if I did, it would probably be getting its own video. What I think is that in any other mill deck, it is a great backup. And I think in a Dugtrio deck, this is going to be a really nice, handy bonus. Hey, speaking of Dugtrio, the Dugtrio we're getting is pretty good as well. It's got 90 HP, which is admittedly very low, but I don't know, expanded, level ball. Retreat cost of 1 is very low, and to be fair, you're attacking for 1 energy, so that's nice. And now we can talk about being a fighting type. Pikachu and Zekrom, best Pokemon in the format, probably. Weak to fighting. Zoroark GX, maybe the other best Pokemon in the format. weak to fighting. See where we're going here, ladies and gentlemen? Great weakness to be hitting. Then we go back to Diglett Prism Star, letting you do an extra 20 damage, and all of a sudden we have got a big, bad Pokemon here. And I should also mention we looked at Fighting Dojo, which is coming out in this set. It says that any Pokemon with basic fighting energy attached do 10 more to the active, but if you're behind on prizes, you do 40 more to the active. And when you combine all of this, all of a sudden, this is starting to look pretty gosh darn tasty. This is actually looking like it's going to work now. We've got a lot of extra damage for fighting Pokemon. And I should mention at this stage, weakness to grass. Look, you've got 90 HP. You can take a hit from Tapu Bulu. That's nice. You got 90 HP and you give up one prize. Don't worry about weakness. But really here, we're looking at, hey, it's a fighting Pokemon. It attacks for a single energy. We got like 74 different ways to add damage to a fighting Pokemon's attack. If this does decent damage for a single energy, this could be good. And ladies and gentlemen, it absolutely does. Now, 30 damage flat out, not good. If you have a Stadium in play, this attack does 60 more damage. Now you're doing 120 for a single energy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very, very nice indeed. Though you do have to have a Stadium in play in order to do this. And the way these cards have tended to be translated recently, it is if you have a Stadium in play, i.e. if your opponent has a Stadium in play, it wouldn't do it. It is if you have a Stadium in play, not if there is a Stadium in play. And look, 90 damage is fine to get something like the aforementioned Macargo, but what we're really excited about here is the numbers we can be hitting with weakness. You see, with just a Diglett Prism Star, regardless of which Stadium you've got in play, as long as you've got one in play, obviously, 110 with weakness, bye-bye Zoroark. Just a Choice Band, 120 with weakness, Pikachu and Zekrom. Choice Band and a Diglett Prism Star. Now all of a sudden you're hitting 140 with weakness, that's an Eevee and Snorlax. You are getting one-hit KOs fairly easily on all of these Pokemon for a single energy. But what really sets Dugtrio apart from so many of these other Pokemon that can one-hit KO something like Pikachu and Zekrom, this can add up really nicely even if you're not hitting for weakness. So let's say, for argument's sake, your Stadium is Fighting Dojo and you're behind on prizes. Well, now all of a sudden you're doing 130 for a single energy. So that's a one-hit KO on something like a non-GX Buzzwole. Now you add a Choice Band and a Diglett Prism Star, and all of a sudden you're up to 180. That is a one-hit KO on a Blacephalon. That's a one-hit KO on a Rayquaza. That's a one-hit KO on a Tapu Lele. And the point here very simply is, if you're hitting for weakness, this is over the top phenomenal. Even if you're not hitting for weakness, you can get up to 180, fairly simply. Stadium, Diglett, Choice Band, you're up to 180, if you're behind on prizes. That's good. That's going to do a lot of damage. No, it's not going to KO anything. There are plenty of Pokemon which are going to be out of reach from this. But does it really matter? Let's say you're up against something like a Magikarp and Wailord. Okay, you're two-hit KOing, but for a single energy on a non-GX Pokemon. It's not like you're losing some kind of war of attrition here. You're not using very much to do it. And that, I think, is what's so good about Dugtrio here. Dugtrio is able to do really good damage against something that's weak, while also being able to go and get some KOs on Pokemon that aren't weak. And then, yeah, there are going to be some... And look, it's only basically GXs that aren't weak and have fairly high HP. There will be the odd non-GX that's out of range, but with the Stadium and a Diglett Prism Star, you're hitting 150. That really isn't very bad at all. I think there's a lot to like about both Diglett and Dugtrio here. I don't think Dugtrio is probably going to be a deck in and of itself, but you whack it in with something like a Buzzwole non-GX and a couple of others, and you've got a non-GX deck which is hitting really good damage for just a single energy. And you've got some milling potential here with Diglett. Though please don't be under the impression that Diglett is only good as a pre-evolution of Dugtrio. It's probably not quite good enough to be a milling Pokemon on its own, but it's certainly a good backup in other milling decks. Let's give them between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I think both of these cards have a lot of potential. But I would very much like to know what you think, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.